Basketball is boring because it's too easy. So before I start, I understand that basketball is wildly popular. Also, I'm not saying that I personally would find it easy to play. The majority of team sports have the build up to that moment of thrilling, exciting achievement. The goal, the touchdown, the home run, the wicket, the try. In basketball, on the other hand, is just too easy to score. There's no build up to that exciting moment. That's why you trade for Kyrie and turn on hard mode. I only upvoting this because it is unpopular lol. Counterpoint: the plays are just happening too fast for you to appreciate, at least in my case. If you understand all the moves that are taking place to make the space for a shot, then it is interesting and exciting. Average field goal percentage in the NBA is around 45-50. Half the time the offense wins. Half the time the defense wins. Some would say that's ideal. I don't know how easy it could be when you can score 100 points and still lose. I'm not a huge basketball fan, but I do find it entertaining to watch because there's lots of action. Instant gratification. I love baseball because I grew up watching it with my dad and understand all the stats and strategy, so I'm fine with the downtime. But I can't really get into hockey or soccer because they don't score often enough, and sitting around watching them move around with no payoff is frustrating. Wouldn't say it is too easy, but the scoring just happens so much that you don't savor each one as you do for a touchdown in American football or a goal in soccer. I feel like cricket is a terrible example of what you're trying to say. Like, every single play in cricket is just throw ball, hit ball, score points. I agree with you. On the professional level, you have these oversized people on a relatively small court. So it's like no shit, you keep scoring. It's boring. Three-part shots can be interesting, but that's about it. I also find the fouls aggravating to watch. Any slight contact is a foul. I like a lot of sports, but basketball I struggle to get into. Basketball is exciting because there's a lot of scoring and continual action. Not like soccer where you can go a whole game without anyone scoring or even a decent shot on goal. Michael Jordan somewhere as he laces up his boots, and I took that personally. So tennis is too easy? This logic makes no sense, not even an unpopular opinion, just incoherent. The majority of team sports have the build up to that moment of thrilling, exciting achievement. I think the real point he's trying to make is that scoring isn't as celebrated as in other sports. Because in basketball it happens so often. Which is fair. It's a game of whose defense is effective first. Because it's so back and forth and the scoring is so common. Whoever defends well gets up a bit and then their team maybe stays up a lot. That's it, that's the game. Great to play and pick up, but god awful. Boring to watch. Maybe decreasing basket diameter by 10 centimeters 4 inches would make for SN improvement as scoring becomes impossible. All sports are boring. At least basketball in person is entertaining. Football and baseball is just watching people stand around. All the million commercial breaks. And that's why basketball is such a superstar-dependent league. In most sports, simply scoring points will be exciting and will get posted on Twitter and YouTube, and you'll see the highlights on SportsCenter and all that. But in basketball, where scoring isn't that exciting because it happens so often, fans zero in on their favorite players and wait for them to do something special. I feel the same about cornhole. Nobody ever fails. We will never be friends, have a nice life. As a hooper myself, I actually kinda agree with you. For me, basketball was always super fun to play but dreadfully boring to watch. Agreed, that's why football is the best sport. I've always argued it's boring to watch for the reason you've explained. But amazing for young kids to play. I played soccer for 3-4 seasons and never even got an assist despite not being much of an athlete. I can remember scoring almost every match when playing basketball. It let me feel like I was contributing to our success. Also, basketball feels like the only important part is the scramble for points in the last couple minutes. The rest of the game can basically be disregarded. Fully agree. You can make up a 20-point deficit in 10 minutes. They should just run for 40 minutes then play the fourth quarter. I thought I was good at basketball. I played against people who were actually good at basketball. After you do that, you won't think it is easy. Soccer is all build up, often with no payoff. I guess it's also my lack of understanding of soccer strategy that detracts from my appreciation of the game. In basketball and football, they are running an offensive system with individually designed plays that you can sort of appreciate if you watch closely. But with soccer, there don't seem to be any designed plays. To my untrained eye, it just looks like people kicking the ball to the open person until there is a breakdown in defense. Which may never happen. That title needs some work. Maybe basketball is less exciting because there are so many goals in a single game. The title sounds absurd, and the explanation takes a second to understand. It's the TikTok of sports. Basketball has the same, but polar opposite, problem as American soccer. Basketball scores are too high to have a meaning. 99-98 with 2 minutes on the clock. It seems like this happens so often it's boring. Soccer on the other hand. Great game everyone. Score 0-0. I haven't been to a game in years, but I took a book to the last one. The book was about Apple OS. It was far better than the silly game. Oh, and I found the people jumping up and down to be very irritating. I know I am a minority, but I like books much better than children's games rigged by super-sized adults. I agree on the NBA front. No one really guards, so it's very boring to watch. Playing basketball is fun. Watching basketball is dreadfully boring. Basketball is easy? It is one of the most physically demanding and technically complex sports there is. You wouldn't be able to score one single point in an NBA game. For whole 48 minutes of a game. This is literally one of the stupidest fucking things I've ever heard. Have an upvote, you jackass. This is not unpopular, it is stupid. It's more exciting and interesting than football or baseball. The latter is basically like watching paint dry. And the former is just someone running at a line and everyone else trying to stop him. That's why it's so fun to watch. It requires precision. A lot of sports are just luck. I have always said basketball suffers from too much scoring. Soccer from too little. Hockey and American football seem to have the right amount of scoring plays over the course of 3 hours. It's happening enough that I'm not bored to tears, but not so much that each score loses meaning. The other problem with basketball is that the point when every score takes on more significance. The final couple of minutes the game bogs down into an unwatchable mess of fouling by the trailing team. It's more easy if you have enough height vertical. However, to score 3-point is no small feat. There's a lot of tactics rules involved too. Get really good seats for an NBA game once. It will completely change your mindset. They got scoring inflation FR. High scoring equals boring? Definitely an unpopular take. There is definitely build up. It's just much quicker. Maybe you just don't have an eye for it. I certainly don't have an eye for hockey. I used to say this all the time. Basketball deliberately changed its rules way back when to force scoring over skill and strategy. It made for a fast-paced game. But it took away the genuine challenge.